Thank you for joining us on our journey here to preserve the history of mixed martial arts. When I wanted to take on this project, I needed help. I brought in one of my favorite matchmakers, Miguel Torres, and the MMA detective, Mike Davis. So to do this, we've been able to preserve history. Welcome and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Lights Out Podcast. I'm Miguel Torres, carrying the flame here. Chris Lytle continues to be off in BKFC land, but of course, I'm joined by the MMA detective, Mike Davis, and we got a return trip to jolly old England here as we visit with Brad Pickett, veteran of the interview, and a guy that we never finished up with, so we're here to finish up, Mike. How you doing, Brad?
I'm all good, thanks. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you, sir.
Brad, how often are you traveling for your gym?
I'll give you a little insight. So this is like the next sort of series of fights I got here on my team. So we're out like June, July, now August. So yeah, as you see, I'm busy.
It's every weekend. How many pro fighters do you have out of your gym?
I class pro and amateur the same, really, because in my eyes, there's no difference. Even as an amateur, you should approach the game professionally. So all my amateurs are technically professional mindset sort of thing. But I think I have on the mat daily 40. But so if you put that together, you probably got I have about 50, 60 fighters, I think.
That's unusually large.
It's especially for the UK, yes. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's huge. That's insane here.
I have people at different sort of levels of their career as well. Obviously, amateurs, when they're first starting, are going up to like people find the highest level like the UFC. You know?
Okay. Do you self-manage or do you have other people come in and help?
Some people obviously have management, but a majority of them is done from me, I guess. So it does take up a lot of my time. You know, like this is one of the ones. So I manage most people to get them to a certain stage, and when they start earning money, they go to a management company. That's normally happens.
Okay, so sometimes as a gym owner, what they'll do is they'll bring in a manager to kind of keep everything in-house. Like you had said, the Love and Care and Foundation is built with a lot of time and sweat and free, work from that of yourself. And then they get to a certain level and they go to a management company. There's certain gyms that don't even allow that.
Yeah, I mean, like, end of the day, the gym will still take 5%, like that's across the board. That's what we're going to do. And for me, it's like, I have some managers I kind of work with, I guess, that Good. I know that I not financially work with. It's like I know them and kind of peer some of my guys that way because I have a good relationship with them and I know they can be looked after well, if that makes sense. But some people have their different managements, So at the end of the day, I've managed guys and I still kind of technically manage people as well. But it does take up a lot of my time as well. So sometimes I do like that other people manage fighters because it takes a little bit of my workload off. I mean, messaging promoters all the time. I have to do that all the time as well for a lot of my amateurs. Obviously, they don't have management. They don't need management at that sort of stage. They just need a coach who's going to help them get their fights and have them progress.
It's interesting. Yeah, a lot of times people go completely in-house. Duke Rufus does it with Sucker Punch. I mean, obviously, American Top Team had their own in-house guy as well. With 50 fighters.
What they do is they take 5% of their purse and you have your own management or they'll look after you as well. So, like, it's kind of the same here. And like, we'll take our 5%, but I would look after you the end of the day, my fighters, I care for them, if that makes sense. So for me, it's my obligation to make sure I guide them in the right way. Where I think a lot of times management companies just are so cutthroat in the way you're just a number, like what can you generate? Can I get you in the UFC? Can you give me, there's no real personal sort of side of things. So I think most fighters, some fighters have a good relationship with the management, but very few do. And most of them could potentially just be managed by a coach if the coach has time to do so.
Like, is there a big amateur scene going on in England and London? Like, are there a lot of amateur fights and stuff? Like, what do they do? Smokers in gyms?
No. I mean, like, there's a big amateur scene here. So, like, but obviously, when I was started fighting, there wasn't much of an amateur scene. But now, most of my amateurs, I like them to have at least 10 amateur fights before turning pro. And then with the amateur fights, I would like them to be tested, like, I don't care if they're 5-5, like they need to, I don't want an amateur who's 10-0. Well, that'd be good, but it won't be a case of them buying 10 cans. I want them to be tested and battle tested before they go pro. So that's what I try and do as well. Make sure that they're pushed and challenged as an amateur. And also now they have the thing called the IMFs. Like they have like an amateur world kind of scene where you can actually compete for your country as an amateur. Go to Bahrain, fight in there. So a big thing called the IMFs. Like there's big like organizations, something like that, where they can get some international experience as well.
That's wild. So you go from Cage Rage. You had a pretty extensive career in Cage Rage, obviously very decorated. You finally make it to the WEC. How does that happen? Who makes the phone call?
Well, I knew Sean Shelby quite a bit, just from obviously cornering Mike Brown, being there for his fights, started speaking to them. So I was chatting. So Mike Brown was always in Sean Shelby's ear about me, and they were very interested. I think before I signed with the WC, I was like 19-4. So I was quite established as a fighter. I watched a lot of fights. So their problem was back in those days, it was quite hard because they weren't like the UFC, it was WC, but they had budgets as well. So then to bring an international fight overseas, they had to get like visas and stuff like that, and that cost quite a lot of money for a UK guy to come over and fight for them. It's much easier and cheaper for them to get someone from Brazil or in America in-house. But I remember that all this sort of chat, there was a lot of chats about it happening, and then they phoned me once out of the blue and said, "Hey, look, will you take a last-minute fight against Demacio Page?" And I said, "Hell yeah, of course it will." So I accepted that fight, but then they tried to get the visa sorted on time, and that couldn't happen. So that fight never happened in the WEC. I did fight him later on in the UFC, but that I was meant to fight him in the WC, making WC debut. That never happened. But then I knew they were really interested. Then they were getting my visa sorted out, and then I ended up signing with them and making my debut in Palms in Vegas against Kyle Dietz.
That's right, Kyle Dietz. Now, that fight took place December 19, 2009. It was WEC 45. Man, you gave everybody a taste of just, you guys stood in front of each other throwing power punches. You were not afraid to test your chin at all at this point.
At any point, to be honest. That was always my sort of fighting style. I wasn't ever really afraid to get hit, and that helped my style. I could get in someone's face and throw punches, and I was quite tough. I could take a punch, and for me, that's a very good asset, like to be able to have. If you're not worried about getting hit, you're fine, And that's also made for me having a quite an exciting sort of fighting style, because I'll just get in the pocket and start throwing bombs.
So, Miguel, this guy goes from having lots of issues with wrestlers, a kind of a questionable ground game, makes his WEC debut, and wins in the second round with a Peruvian necktie.
Yeah. It's quite strange for me. Obviously, I've known, obviously, it's more of a striker sort of thing. But obviously, I've worked a lot on my ground game, my wrestling, and all that sort of stuff. You know, I just always wanted to evolve as a fighter. It was quite a rare submission. I learned that off Mike Brown. You know, like that. I remember learning off Mike Brown, and I just kind of like, it was just there. It was just, I'm like, I'll give this a go, and that's kind of the type of fighter I was. Always trying to make something happen. You know, like something different. I remember though as well, because back in those days they had fight of the night, they had submission of the night, and they had a knockout of the night. That's how it done. Now they have performance of the night. Now, but then it was standard. So if you got any submission, like a rear naked choke, and you win, you win by rear naked choke. If no one else wins by submission, you're gonna get the bonus by default because no one else wins. Right? Sure. So I remember, I fought quite early on in that card. You know, the top of the bill was Cerrone versus Radcliffe, right? But I remember, so I won by quite a rare submission. But normally these bonuses always tend to go to like the top of the card kind of thing. I always found that even in the UFC, like people hit the bonuses normally on the main card and that sort of stuff. But I remember. I got it here. I was the second fight of the night, and then there was loads of other people, and there's like TKOs, a decision, split decision, KOs, and then it was KO again, and he comes to like the last fight of the night, which was Donald Cerrone versus Radcliffe. And I'm like, if no submission happens here, I'm going to win the 10 grand by default. And back in then, the submission fight night that was just 10 grand. Obviously, UFC was a lot more, but to me, 10 grand was crazy money. Huge when I was on like 2 and 2. You know, like that was crazy money. So for me, I'm like getting so. I remember sitting cage side, just getting so. I'm getting so excited. I go to the main card. I was so nervous. I actually felt nauseous. You know, like, what's going to happen in this fight? And I remember Radcliffe and Cerrone. You know Donald Cerrone, like he was a wizard on the floor. But he was a wizard on the floor. Yeah. And these two were just going at it. And there was like at one point, I think Donald Cerrone had his back, had him in a roughly rear naked choke, but somehow turned it into a knee bar. And I'm like, oh my days, what is going on here? It's like, look like Spaghetti Junction. And that's where I started feeling sick. Because like, I think it's Cowboy, and he pulls off some crazy submission out, I'm going to lose my money, 100%. So like, it was a tough one for me to watch. But then Donald Cerrone actually does get a submission, but it was just a rear naked choke. But it's still a submission. For me, not having no competition from winning this, now I've got competition. And I remember feeling so sick, you know, like, am I going to get this money? I'm not getting this money. And like, my brother was going, no, of course, you've got to prove your necktie. It's like such a rare submission. You should get that. But I'm like, I don't know. It's the main event and it was a crazy fight. And then I remember going backstage and Sean Shepherd goes, don't worry, man, you got it. I was relieved. But it was a nerve-wracking ride, 100% watching the rest of the fighters in that card. You know?
Well, that first round is like absolutely insane. Like it was a shootout where both you guys were testing each other's chin. Like it, yeah. You said it was the second fight of the night. That absolutely should have been towards the end of the card, based on the performance from both of you guys.
I mean, to be honest, most of my fights, I was in kind of barn burners. In the WC, it's like I had that fight against him, and then my next fight obviously was against Demetrius Johnson. In the WC, the fight after that against Scott Jorgensen was another crazy fight. Then
fight of the year.
The fight after that was against Ivan Menjivar. So I was in good fights, you know, like they're good fights to watch.
So let's talk about Demetrius Johnson. April 24, 2010, WEC 48. Demetrius, one of the greatest 125-pound fighters ever to live based on the totality of his career and still pushing forward. Were there any concerns going into that fight? There's always a Matt Hume factor, obviously.
Well, at the time, I was 20-4, I believe. And he was 14-0 or something like that, right? Or 13-0 or something like that. I remember seeing a little bit of footage of him doing some sort of jumping, spinning, scissor kick, knocking some guy out. Brock James, Jesse Brock or something like that, knocked a guy out. And I was like, oh, this guy's pretty speedy and athletic. And I'm like, whatever. I'm Brad Pickett kind of thing. I'm like, whatever. It's like some young kid. I know there's a lot of hype for him being from Matt Hume's camp, and there's a lot of hype. But I just went into the fight, and to be honest, I just fought the fight how I would have fought. You know, like came forward, throwing bombs. He was very, very quick. I mean, like he's always had that speed. And without sounding super cliche, you beat speed with timing, and my timing was so on point that night. When I timed him rushing in really quickly, I just changed my level, take him down. I think I took him down like 10 times in that one fight.
When you out-wrestled the wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah, but MMA is MMA. It's a lot different, right? But I remember like winning the first round quite comfortably with loads of takedowns. Second round, same. I remember at the end of the second round, I picked him up against the cage, and I properly slammed him. And as he hit the ground, my shoulder was in his chest, and I felt him wind. He went limp and really winded him. And then I just easily got mount, and I was throwing punches trying to finish the fight at the end of the second round. He survived. Went back to my corner. In my head, 2 rounds up, easy. Yeah, same with I remember going out in the third round, and I went to throw a jab, and I'm like, "Whoa, what's my shoulder?" Like, if I thought I might off, I think I broke my. I didn't feel nothing in the corner, but when I went to spike the second round, I started throwing a jab, and I was getting a lot of pain in my shoulder. I thought I might have broke my collarbone or something. So I remember fighting that third round, kind of. But then when any of the action happened, I kind of just forget about my shoulder and just fight instinctively. But still won that round. And I remember at the end of the fight, Herb Dean was that side of me, and I kind of knew I won. And I went, Herb, just raise this hand, not this hand, because if he raised that hand, I would have been in trouble. I was in a lot of pain. And normally, adrenaline takes over. You don't really feel pain within a fight. For me to feel the pain within the fight, I'm like, oh man, it's bad. I remember going to the hospital afterwards. I actually went to the hospital with Demetrius as well. I think he dislocated his thumb, but I actually separated my shoulder, and that's what it was. I didn't dislocate my shoulder. I didn't. But me slamming, my shoulder popped out socket and went back in. So I separated my shoulder, and I just done some damage there. But yeah.
So what's in your collarbone?
No, it was actually my labrum or whatever it was, or rotator cuff, whatever it is, up there, here, whatever it is. That because my shoulder came out and went back in. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that was. So, but for me, I remember my Brown obviously was. I don't know. Was my? I think my Brown was on that card as well. I think. Can't remember who my Brown was fighting. I think my Brown. Or was he just cornering me? Mike Brown fought Manny Gambarian. That was it on that card. And I remember backstage, Chad Mendes and Urijah Faber said to him, "Oh, well, where did Pickett wrestle?" And Mike Brown goes, "He's never wrestled. He's just literally just done MMA." And I really, yeah, because he's from England. He's never wrestled. So so I remember them all thinking, "Oh shit, this guy's got good wrestling." Because I really completely out wrestled.
There's no way. There's absolutely is. We love Matt Hume on this podcast. We've dropped his name plenty of times. There's absolutely no way they had thought that you would out wrestle Demetrius Johnson. I doubt they even worked on it.
Not at all, because like no really didn't probably get a chance to see much of my wrestling. You know, like my Kyle Dietz fight, there wasn't much. We just threw stuff around and some. So yeah, they probably not really got to see much of my wrestling. Yeah, and obviously you find an English guy, you're not going to think he's got any good wrestling, so you're not really worried about that. You know what I mean?
No, your country's definitely not known for that. That's for sure.
No, far from it.
No, let me ask you about DJ. You said he was fast and stuff. Was there a clue that he would go on to be like, an unstoppable champion kind of thing? And also, did he feel a little small? Because he always kind of operated better at 125, and maybe that's, speed, but he was also compact. Describe him a little bit, because he's a special fighter.
He was, it's weird. It's like, obviously when I fought him, he was just an opponent, I think there wasn't much of footage I could see about him. So like, I know there's a lot of hype around him. But at the end of the day, my job was to beat a young prospect. I'm like, fine. I believed in myself, and I thought, cool, whatever. But when I fought him, he was very, very quick. That's one thing that was just apparent. I think my size helped me a little bit. Just be able to hold it down a bit. It was hard to hold down. I even remember the commentary. Joe Rogan was commentating, and he would not shut up about Demetrius Johnson's speed. To be honest, it annoyed me a little bit. I'm like, you chat so much about Demetrius Johnson here, and I'm smashing him. Give me some props. But he didn't. I found it quite annoying. But I felt that he was he had a lot of promise. I think I was his first loss. I think obviously he learned a lot from that loss, and it paved the way for who he is today. Because I remember seeing fighting other people within the WEC and looking really good, doing really well. And he was unbeaten until he fought Dominic Cruz, and that was at 135, and then he went down obviously to 125.
His ability to move in small spaces, I think, was shocking. And
he's very intelligent. He's a very intelligent fighter.
At this point, Demetrius also had I think he had a job at like Home Depot or something like that. I know it was like a Walmart type job. And right after this fight, I believe he started training full time.
I think I made him realize he needs to get better in a lot of areas.
Yeah, and he was a guy known for his cardio, and he hit a cardio wall in this bout.
Because I out-wrestled him,
Yeah, which is insane.
10
10
times he took him down in one fight. But it's one of those ones where, but saying I could have a go at myself. I took him down 10 times. That means he got up 10 times. So where's my control? But he was so hard to control. He was very quick, nimble. And also, I couldn't give him any space. If I started, I didn't want to just play and pray either. So every time I try and create space to throw a punch to him, he's like, boom, he's back up. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
It was like trying to hold him to a fish.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck. Wow. August 18, 2010, you win fight of the night, but in my opinion, this is a fight of the year candidate. WEC 50, Scott Jorgensen. Jorgensen is as tough as nails. He's big for the weight class, has a lot of power, high-end wrestler. Did you expect this type of fight going into it?
100%. Yeah, I watched Scott Jorgensen, and to be honest, I thought I'm going to batter him. In my head, I'm like, all we have to worry for him is him trying to out-wrestle me. That's the only thing I was worried about. He was a very good wrestler, he had a very good single leg, head outside single, and that sort of stuff. But I'm not on the feet, I should be able to beat him up a little bit. And that's why, it was a bit of a back and forth sort of fight. And him to win that fight was a few little wrestling exchanges that he won, That's about it. It's still a very close fight in my eyes. But he did win it from just those little wrestling exchanges he got the better.
You thought he won?
It was close. You know, I mean, like I haven't seen that fight for years. It was a split decision.
No, it was here going into the third round. Both corners told you guys, if you win this round, you win the fight. So both corners were on the same page. Okay. And I know you were on an 8-fight win streak. The first round pace was just bonkers with how fast it was. It was a test of cardio. And you actually won 30-27 on all 3 judges' cards.
What do you mean?
It was 30-27.
I won it on all judges' cards. But how did I lose the fight?
Oh shit! You lost. I apologize, too. I'm looking at this thing.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm doing. No. He won 30-27. Yeah, no, we're gonna reverse it, Brad. That's what we're calling.
That's it. You told me on what.
Right.
Nice.
But going into that third round, both corners were saying, "You win this round, you win the fight." He won 30-27, but
yeah, for me, I mean, it was a close fight, and I say it's just little wrestling exchanges that I believe that made him won those rounds. You know, it was close. I mean, like, we battered each other on the feet, but it was just like I say, for me, if you got the better wrestling within a fight, it's always good to fall back on. You know, like in those close sort of rounds on the feet when you're hitting each other, if you just get one takedown here and there, it's valuable, and it showed within this fight as well. Yeah, I mean, I remember one time. It's quite a funny thing if you watch the fight back. There's one time we were in an exchange, and I thought he was going to go for a shot, right? So he went down, and I sprawled. But he wasn't shooting. He was like doing a face shot, and I sprawled. As I sprawled, my mouthpiece fell out, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, my mouthpiece is on the floor. And I was picking up my mouthpiece, and I'm standing up, trying to put it back in. Why he's trying to punch me in the face? And I'm like, I started running back to the corner, trying to put my mouthpiece in. And I put my mouthpiece in when I got to the cage. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing? You know, where I'm like, sure, I should just concentrate on the fight. But I was like, oh, my mouthpiece here. And I actually started laughing to myself in the fight. I'm like, what am I even thinking? Trying to put my mouthpiece in while the fight's fighting. You know, it's quite funny.
Did you have a facial fracture in this fight?
Nah, I don't break anything. I'm fine. My face is always a mess, but I think I've broken a bone once in my life, and that was my arm.
So your mouthpiece came out in rounds 1 and 2. What was the issue with it?
It's a shit one, I guess, and also because I said I broke my nose when I was younger playing basketball. But if I do this, watch.
Yeah.
I can't breathe out my nose, so I breathe from my mouth quite a lot. So with breathing from my mouth, I leave my mouth open. So if I get hit sometimes, my mouthpiece just flies up.
Yeah.
This day and age, I probably should get my nose sorted out, right? But I never did.
Yeah.
But I had good cardio as well with no breathing. It's like wearing one of those masks.
Do you have the CPAP machine?
What's that?
Do you wear the machine at night?
No. But I was saying,
So
I don't need one. My nose is the same thing.
Oh, wow. So you're snoring all night, huh?
No, I don't snore. I said, well, apparently I sound a bit like Darth Vader. What did I say? I don't actually snore. I just use some weird breathing because I can't breathe through my nose.
Fair enough. To close out the year, December 16, 2010, WEC 53. They throw you against an absolute legend in a 145-pound weight class. Obviously, this is a 35 against Ivan Menjivar.
Yeah.
He's somebody that's an absolute legend. Yeah.
Going into that fight, I was kind of pretty nervous because this guy had been around for a long time. I remember him like being one of the top guys in the world at 145 pounds, right? Now he used to fight at 170. He fought George St. Pierre at 170. Now he moved down to 135. So I'm thinking, oh my days, he had I do not get how he was younger than me, you know? Yeah. To this day, I have no clue because from my age, he's been around forever, you know. But he was when the copy stats came out, he was younger than me. I'm like, what? How's that even possible? You know, because but he was a very experienced fighter. I was 20-5, and he was 21-7. So a very similar
Yeah.
sort of experience records. It was like, and it was a very good fight. You know, I had to be smart within this fight. It was one of those ones where again, as all my fights, we just started rock and soccer robots fighting back and forth. And it got to the stage where I was hitting him with a lot of shots, and he was just eating them. And I'm like, oh my god!
Yeah.
I was tiring myself out. I can't remember how the scoring completely went. I don't know if I won I think I won the first round. Then I think he might have won the second round, or it was close. So going into the third and final round, I'm like, I need to win this round. But then also, I thought to myself, I need to change my tactics a little bit. I need to stop trying to hit him so hard and just outbox him and hit him. So what I did in the third round, I remember clear as day, I'm like, I'm just going to start hitting him, hit, move, and not throw as hard. And with doing so, I ended up dropping him because he just walked into a shot as I threw, and I actually dropped him. I'm like, yeah, so it's good. But also doing a lot of research going into the fight. I knew he liked watching doing like spinning back fists and stuff like that. So I was very aware of that. So every time he went for a spinning back fist, I just changed my level and took him down as well. So that was one thing that helped me score throughout that fight.
He was at Jackson MMA for that bout, and I didn't see Mike Brown in your corner, which is somebody that tends to be a mainstay.
Yeah, I believe he was fighting the week before, the week after on a. I can't remember who was fighting, but he had a fight he was preparing for.
Yeah, he's somebody that you feel very comfortable having in your corner.
He's my best friend, you know, best friend and the best coach I've ever had, and he's now in my eyes the best coach in MMA.
I definitely, he absolutely, he's undervalued as a coach, for sure.
100%.
I don't
He's
think he
very
gets
humble.
the respect he deserves. Yeah, I think
humble.
that's his problem. Yeah, he doesn't have a PR team around him.
No.
Yeah,
No.
for sure. So obviously you got wobbled pretty bad in the second round, and you pushed through.
Yeah, that's right. I won the first round. He won the second round. Yeah.
I wasn't used to seeing you having some wobbly legs.
No, mate. I can't remember what he hit me with, but he dazed me. And I remember going back in the corner, and instead of like going for a takedown, I just started throwing bombs back. Yeah, it's been crazy. Yeah.
So you get the call to the UFC. Joe Silva, obviously, the matchmaker at the time.
No, it was Sean Shelby. So
was it Shelby? Was it right at the switch?
No, yeah, because the UFC and the WC were the same organization. You know, they were owned by Zuffa, but the WC was for the smaller weight classes, like 145 pounds, 155 pounds and below, and then UFC was above. So, but I remember Dana White always loving and raving about the fights in the WEC. So they said he wants to bring those weight classes into the UFC. So for me, I was fighting the same people. I was fighting exactly the same people, but the only thing that changed was the name on my gloves. You know, that's the only thing that changed. It was the same people. I dealt with the same people as like my matchmaker was Sean Shelby, same everything. The only thing that changed was the name on my gloves.
So I got a question for you. Let me ask you. You know, the WEC obviously, you know, you were on WEC 50 and stuff like that, and by then, you know, they were definitely the second show. But when you jumped to the UFC, did you feel like it was a jump to the big show, or did the WEC prepare you well for that?
You know, I mean, depends what you're going on about. The only thing that was changed was the name on my gloves. Backstage was run by the same people. Burt Watson was there. We're rolling. He'd done both shows. It's the same everything. The only thing was
the weigh-ins, like, you know, was the UFC doing their big show weigh-ins and stuff? Like, I mean,
the only thing was difference was the eyes on me was more. Yeah, there's more people knew, and also to me, it was one of the things that really helped me out. It was the change was explaining to someone why I didn't fight in the UFC. Why didn't you fight in the UFC? I'll be like, well, I don't fight in the UFC. I fight for a show called the WEC. It was owned by Zuffa, which owns the UFC, because the UFC don't have my weight classes. So they have us fighting in the WEC. And then me trying to explain that to everyone who goes, why didn't you fight in the UFC? I'm like, it just got so tedious. And then it was easy to me. Now I find the UFC easy, end of. So it made my life a lot easier explaining to people.
Was the pay different?
Yeah. Obviously, I hit 3 bonuses in 4 fights in the WC, and that's 30 grand, right? That's 30 grand. So you get 10 grand for each bonus. I go to the UFC. My first fight in the UFC, I hit a bonus, got 70 grand for that bonus. So like, big difference with bonuses, you know.
Did Stephan Bonnar's commentary ever offend you?
No, I like him. No one's commentary has ever really offended me. Apart from what, obviously, when I fought Demetrius Johnson, Joe Silva annoyed me. Not Joe Silva, sorry. Joe Rogan annoyed me because he wouldn't shut up about Demetrius Johnson. And I'm thinking, look, mate, I'm smashing him. Give me some credit. You know, that's the only one kind of really annoyed me a little bit.
All right, just so for the context, here in the United States, obviously the world is filled with cultures. The gypsy culture in Europe is something that's very prevalent. We have gypsies here in the United States, but they're not very prevalent.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's words associated with cultures that we're not aware are offensive. And Stephan Bonnar was referring to you as one of them with the gypsy culture.
Yeah.
So it didn't offend you at all.
But no, because he didn't mean it in an offensive way. Like, it's like, so people can say things, you know, freedom of speech. It's up to me if I want to find it offensive or not. You know, like, and for me, it's like he's doing his job. I'm not a gypsy, by the way. You know, and but it doesn't bother me that he thought I was. Who cares? You know, like I'm not gonna. I don't get easily offended. You know, like it all depends on the contents. If he was like, "Oh, this guy's a damn gypsy," or what, you know, and then he's been trying to be offensive, then that's different. But he's just trying to. So it didn't mean it any other way. So it didn't offend me one bit.
He was dropping the P word, which I was told is incredible. Yeah. So, okay. I wasn't sure if I could say it or not. That's what he was saying. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Same thing. Because obviously a lot of people associate my character from Brad Pitt from Snatch, you know, who was a pikey, a traveler, which they call pikeys, you know. So yeah. But nowadays, people get offended by it. You can't say anything nowadays without someone getting offended. You call someone black, you call someone white, you call someone, oh, he's Indian. What? Can't say he's Indian. Oh, what do you mean? He's from India. Well, you know, it's like, it's always, someone gets offended by everything nowadays. It's just like, you know. There's the woman over there. Oh, it's not a woman, is it? What is it, a man? No, it's not a man. What is it? Oh, he identifies himself as a pineapple. Okay. Wow, okay. Yeah, it's like nowadays, it's just like people get offended by it.
Yeah, I've actually heard Carlisle refer to you as pikey too, like in a loving way. Like
Carlo Diaz.
Yeah, man.
So,
you know,
like you never.
I don't know if you'd have to swear on this or not, but you could call someone, you arsehole. You know, like call me an arsehole and be fine. But you go, you arsehole. It's like it's how you say things, you know, like, and the meaning, how you using them. And then again, it's up to me if I want to find it offensive or not. You know?
I'm pretty pro free speech as well. Like to like mentally ill, pro free speech.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
But it ought to be. I am pro free speech, but also depending on what you want to say. Like,
well, there should be consequences for it. Yes.
Yeah, but for me, it's like if I've got nothing nice to say, I won't say it. Like, if I was like, I really hate Mike's shirt, it looks disgusting. I'm not. No, I don't, by the way. But if I did, I'm not going to go, oh, by the way, Mike, yeah, you look good. I hate your shirt. Why would I even say that? You know, like,
right.
If I got nothing nice to say, I just wouldn't say it. You know, it's like I've always prided myself on that, and like, you know, I don't want to be a negative person and bring up anyone's flaws and stuff like that. Oh, look, you're you know, whatever, like. Different as a coach, because obviously I got to bring up their flaws within their game. But you know, I mean, like, yeah, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it.
So your only fight in 2011 was November 5th, 2011. Obviously, that's your UFC debut at 138. You're the co-main event. against a guy that's 28-1-1, Renan Barao, a legend, Hall of Fame. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer when that time comes, I'm sure.
Yeah. I was out for quite a bit because I something about it. I was supposed to make my UFC debut against Miguel Torres. I herniated my disc in my back, getting ready for that fight. So that's why you saw I was out for some time. I did get to fight Miguel Torres. Demetrius Johnson took my place. He beat Miguel Torres, and then he got a title shot. That's what I thought I would have done. I was gutted that I didn't get a chance to do that. So I ended up not fighting that fight. Ended up fighting Renan Barao in my UFC debut. For me, I thought it was more of a grappler, So I didn't take him down. There was a few times within the fight I could have took him down. I just stood there and traded with him. And then it was a bit of a mental fight, like all my fights were, to start with. And then he hit me with a knee up the middle, dropped me. I tried to recover, turned, gave him my back, and then he really choked me. And then he went and had a title shot. So there's these sort of fights here where I kept on just falling over at the final hurdle to get a title shot at the weight class, which was quite hard for me to, fathom.
I was going to ask you, were they talking to you about a title picture? I mean, when you got Renan Barao 28-1 and Miguel Torres, whose record was probably 35-1,
it's cream of the crop.
You're facing one of the top three guys that they've got, so you have to be in the title picture. It had to be did you feel like a B-side on those or did you feel like you had a shot? How'd they make you feel?
No, because I thought I would smash Miguel Torres. How Demetrius Johnson beat him is exactly how I would have beat him, right? And when he fought Demetrius Johnson, he was 39-3.
Did you think Miguel lost that fight?
Yeah.
Did you?
I mean, just to my knowledge, I have to watch it back again. I bet he got out wrestled. Out wrestled.
Okay, fair enough.
Which I thought I could do. I could out wrestle him, and also I felt I had more punching power and a bit bigger than Demetrius Johnson is. So I felt it would have been a good fight, but I believe I would have won that fight. Right?
It's cool.
So, and I would have beat him, then I would have had a title shot. But I didn't. Demetrius Johnson took my place, and he beat him, and then he got a title shot off that.
So Renan Barao lands a knee. It goes to the ground. You lose by rear naked choke. That's something that we as a viewing audience aren't used to seeing.
No, it sucked. It sucked.
And it's your only fight of the year.
Yeah, sucked ass. And also my UFC debut in my hometown. Sucked ass. Yeah.
How are you making ends meet at this point? What are you doing for work?
And I was quite good with my money that I did earn. I was quite good at investing back in myself. I was working, doing PTs, and that sort of stuff. Yeah, and I was quite good not spending too much money.
So doing a lot of private training. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I was just done well with what money I had. I knew I had. I knew also what money I earned within the UFC. I knew it wasn't going to last forever, so I had to be smart with my money,
So your next bout is with TriStar standout Yves Jabouin, who is, dude, that's another underrated fighter at that weight class as well. Incredibly exciting.
The next fight is actually in Sweden.
Demacio Page. Shit, God damn it. Dude, let me tell you. Okay, hold up. Brad, I got up at 6:00 for this. You need to do something about this time change.
Sorry.
It's your fault.
My fault. I get it.
Yes, it's your fault.
But if you want, we can switch them around. We can say I fought it first. But
please.
I fought Demacio Page. And that was what I said. That was someone I was meant to fight. I was meant to fight Demacio Page.
Yeah, Demacio Page was training with Jackson Wink. And
I was meant to fight Demacio Page. I say when I was meant to make my WC debut, but that never happened. And then I fought him. And I mean, I just felt good, you know, like he's normally good when he can bully someone. If I mean, he was a bit of a bully fighter. He was very aggressive and bullying, getting someone's head and stuff like that. And I'm like, there's no chance he can bully me or get my head. I'm not scared of no one, if that makes sense. And I stood my ground. He came out hard in the first round. I stood my ground. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna fade, my friend. And he did. He faded when he couldn't bully me as such. I'm like, now it's my turn. And then I just knew after I withstand that first kind of little surge by him, I knew that it's just only been one way after that.
Yeah. So you finished Demacio Page in the second round. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So you're starting to fight now in Europe. They're sending you over to Europe. You said Sweden.
Yeah.
And you fought in London too before that?
Yeah.
How'd that feel? Because like I know that you spent time in the States and stuff, but that's less, you know, transition time, you know, the time changing thing all suits you better than your opponent. Was that any advantage, or did you feel like a little bit of hometown cooking was finally coming your way?
The only advantages for me really was just tax. You know, like I didn't have to pay the 30% tax when I fought in America, you know. So that helped me out. So and no, you mean you don't get no advantage. I had quite a good fan following no matter where I fought. Even in America, I felt like my fighting style attracted fans. So I had a good little crowd no matter where I went. And how I kind of conducted myself, you know, a lot of people liked me as a person, and two, I enjoyed the way I fought. So yeah, so I always I didn't think I had a home advantage anywhere really, apart from when I was in England, obviously.
You're a huge ticket seller too, though.
Yeah, in my country, you know, I guess I did. Yeah.
Did people travel? Did travel well?
Yeah.
Did your fans? Yeah.
Yeah, people did. You know, I was not like a Conor McGregor sort of thing where he brings the whole country with him. I did have people come. I did have people come watch me.
Yeah, so you fought in Vegas and ran into like, you know, blokes.
Yeah. I mean, the English people who travel to watch fights. Yeah, of course.
Has wrestling improved in your country? The skill level based on
1,000%.
like the UFC fan level? Yeah.
My team now, our coach, I'll give you a little tour of my gym if you want, but it's very wrestling based, you know, MMA wrestling, which in my eyes is completely different. In this country still sucks. Like, but MMA wrestling is completely different to wrestling, because in wrestling, you don't have a wall, for one, never wrestle against a wall. Two, you have a completely different stance where you're a bit lower down. When in an MMA fight, you're higher up. You have to do, it's completely different. That's why Demetrius Johnson, I out wrestled him easily. But if I had a wrestling match with him, he would smoke me. Completely different. So MMA wrestling and wrestling is completely different. And we have now in this country, especially in my team, we have very good MMA wrestling.
So your country imports, like you've got several Brazilians living in your country now. Why don't you guys ever import high-end wrestlers?
Oh, want me to be honest, I don't need one in my gym, really, because in my eyes, I'm a high-level MMA wrestler. And unless you want to learn wrestling, we have a lot of good wrestlers here, as in like Greco-Roman. You know, you have a lot of Russians, Chechens. They come over here and wrestle. We have a lot of Eastern Europeans, like Romanians. You know, like Dagestani. You know, they're all good at wrestling. Very good at wrestling. They can compete with Americans in wrestling, but it's different. MMA wrestling is different. So for me, it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a wrestler or do you want to be an MMA fighter? If you want to be a wrestler, we're not the place for you. Go elsewhere. You want to do MMA? You want to learn wrestling for MMA? Come here. This is what you need to do. You know, it's completely different. And it's the same with jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, you want to learn gi? Do that. If you want to learn no gi, go 10th planet. You want to do MMA jiu-jitsu? Do MMA. MMA is its own sport.
Hey, you know, some of the American gyms, like Next Generation, Chris Brennan's gym out there, making some big waves. Wolf Slayer, yourself, there's a lot happening in the United Kingdom right now, MMA wise.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing well. We've got a lot of guys fighting in the UFC now and doing well within the UFC.
Right. So TriStar standout Yves Jabouin is your next opponent. You keep running into just the cream of the crop, as Miguel had pointed out earlier.
Yeah, no, he was a very good, tough striker. I remember being very worried fighting him. Like, oh my God, he's a very tricky striker. Again, very athletic, throws loads of spinning moves. I remember going into that fight.
He's technical too.
I need to get this guy down. Like, he's dangerous on the feet. And I remember going in for a shot and sprawling and defending it against the cage, a bit of a scramble. Then we came back out in the open. Then I'm like, he thinks I'm going to shoot. So I pretended to go for a shot. And then I came back up with an uppercut. And then that was all she wrote. It landed like pretty sweet.
Usually when two high-end strikers meet, there's a feeling out process. That was not the case in this bout.
Well, that's not the case in any of my fights.
No. Was there something that you saw that led you, like, that gave you confidence? Because you went right out.
No, that's no matter who you are. That's who I am. So it's not, even if you want to do a feeling out process, I won't give you that chance because I just fight, So that was my style. I just went at him, and that's, that's just who I was, really.
Does it surprise you that Eddie Wineland is still in the UFC? That's your next opponent?
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he was another tricky striker. He was weird. He was such a weird, elusive sort of style. I felt, for me, I could beat that guy pretty, easy kind of thing. It was harder to take down. Very, very tricky. It was a split decision. Very close fight yet again. I haven't watched it back. I think I thought I won. I believe he dropped me in the first round, like a stun knockdown. But then I think the next two rounds, I thought I won. My aggression going forward, landing more shots. I can't remember if I got him down or not. But I thought I won the next two rounds, but I lost a split decision. But, again, I lost a split decision to him, and he went on and had a title shot again. So, like, everyone I kind of lose to kind of like beats me at that sort of level was just getting title shots left, right, and center.
You look like you had a broken nose at the end of the second.
I've always looked like I got a broken nose. So, no, I didn't.
It's true. It's true.
Fair enough. It looks like you have a broken nose now.
Yeah, right.
It does. My nose is like, I can smell around corners. But I broke my nose when I was 19 playing basketball.
No, wow. You go into another fight of the night, April 6th, 2013, UFC on Fuel, Mike Easton.
Yeah.
Dude, you're in war after war after war. Is the thickness of your skull, is it, have you had it examined?
Luckily enough, I fought for a very good organization who had to get like a consistent brain scan every time. And luckily, every time they've done one, they found a brain. Yeah.
I'll tell you about the thickness, because you're in war after war. You're not slurring your words. You're on point.
Yeah.
So Mike Easton, another split decision, was at 135 pounds. He's 13-2 at the time. You're 23-7. You had Conan and Mike Brown in your corner, and Dominic Cruz and Eric Del Fiero were with Easton. So another very, very tough opponent.
Yeah, and also he had never been taken down in any of these fights. Again, a bit of a rock. He was the first opponent actually that put me on the back foot for a little bit, and it made me tired. I never was on my back foot. He was the first one who managed to push me back a little bit. It was a war, me and him again. Like all my fights were anyway. But then, I remember out wrestling him as well. And when I timed him a few good takedowns, took him down, out wrestled him. He was a very good high level black belt apparently, but I didn't see that. I was fine in any positions. He tried to take me back. I shoved him off pretty easy. Yeah, no, it was another good fight. It was a split decision for me.
Yeah.
It was one of those. There's been split decisions I've won before, and I'm like, ooh, that's close. And this one, I'm like, this one, I was like, nah. I won that fight. Yeah, right. I thought I did as well. Yeah.
Right. So you go into another fight of the night, August 17, 2013, against Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
Michael's 15-2. He's out of Oakdale MMA. Probably the biggest win of his career.
Yeah. Weird with my Michael McDonald. I'm going to fight. I thought I beat him pretty easily. It was even though it was a tough fight. I remember this though. I remember him throwing a punch and it hitting me, but not landing properly. But it stumbled me, as in I just lost balance. And then with that, me losing balance, he thought he hurt me, so he started swarming me.
Yes.
I'm like, in my head, I'm like, leave me alone. I'm not even hurt. What are you doing? But then within all that swarming, then he does actually clip me. Then he does drop me, and then I remember being rocked. And I remember it just being a mental first round. Me going back to my corner laughing. I remember sitting on my stool laughing. I'm like, "Yep, guys, I know. Yeah, I lost that round. I get it. Back to the game plan. I'll take him down," and that was it. Right. So the second round started. I went back to what I was meant to do, is take him down and grind him a little bit. Took him down, started grinding him, winning the round, feeling quite comfortable. And I don't know, it's stupid. Sometimes you do stupid things within a fight. I remember being in that fight, winning the second round pretty clearly, and I'm like, right, what am I going to do in the third round? Right, I need to do this. And I started taking my mind off the occasion then. I'm thinking about the next round. Right, I need to go and take him down again and do to win the fight. And within this, so he threw up I'm giving props, a really slick triangle, really quick. And then as he did it, it's a triangle, but he armbarred. It was armbarred me straight away. So as he was armbarring me, I remember grabbing my hand and pulling my arm back to save my arm. But as I did that, I put myself more deep into a triangle. And then I was just stuck. I'm like, oh my God. And I had to tap. And I was just like, oh my days. I'm like, I was pretty gutted. Like I just, again, just a lapse of concentration. At that level, you can't afford to do that,
No, he went on to a title fight after that as well. Another
again, everyone but this one gets a title shot.
He's one of the interesting footnotes in mixed martial arts. Turns pro at 16. By the age of 22, he's a former world title challenger, and he's retired and out of the sport by the age of 30.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just carpenter now. He's a carpenter now.
He was a very good fighter who wasn't a fighter, if you ask me. All right.
Why do you say that?
He wasn't in his blood to hurt someone or fight you anyway. You're not saying it's in my blood, but you got to have that kind of grit and a fight.
Okay.
And I think he was just really good at the sport, but he didn't enjoy the sport. He preferred like his arts and crafts and hunting and that sort of. That he was more of a farm boy, if you know what I mean.
That can fight, right?
Yeah,
okay.
They can fight. That he's just technically really good, but he's not. He wasn't in it. He's not like a Chris Lieben. You just you can tell like he's just a fighter.
Yeah,
or Anderson Silva, 100% just a fighter. If this sport was around, he'd be fighting. If it wasn't, he'd be fighting somewhere else. He'd be just fighting just for fights. He wasn't like that. He was a very religious man as well. A very, very, very a very religious mindset.
Still is. Yeah, he's a carpenter now. Yeah, he's a carpenter. And to backtrack, Ivan Menjivar is driving a city bus.
Oh, is he?
It's probably the world's toughest bus driver. Yes. For Michael McDonald, was there bad blood in your next fight, March 8th, 2014, UFC Fight Night, London, against Neil Seery?
I wouldn't say bad blood as such, but I was fighting an Irish guy, but also it was my first time going down now to 125 because obviously I got beat by Michael McDonald. He went on to have a title shot. That was me again losing another chance of getting a title shot in my eyes. Are
you frustrated?
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? I then go, right, I beat Demetrius Johnson before. He's a 125-pound champion. I'm going to go down a weight class and fight at 125 pounds. So I went. It wasn't easy for me. I got pictures on my phone. I remember being 6 weeks out from my fight, being 6.3% body fat, and still being 18 pounds off my weight class. Like it was hard. I had to lose muscle. It was, but how I was as a person, I was always competition driven. I always wanted to be number one in the world. And looking back now, I did everything I possibly could to try and be number one in the world. It wasn't for the want of trying. I didn't want to look back at my career and go, well, I didn't want to be sitting here in the office going, guys, if I wanted to and went down a weight class, I reckon I could beat Demetrius. Going to be the guy. I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to try everything possible to try and beat the number one in the world. And that's why I went down to that weight class. And I fought Seery. I was supposed to fight Ian McCall, but he got injured and pulled out of the fight. Then I fought Seery. Seery was from Ireland. And there's always
last minute replacement.
Yeah. Like it was always bad blood between England and Ireland. Not on my behalf, but Irish people just don't like English people. Well, not a lot of people like English people for some reason. Like if you're Scottish, Welsh, Irish, you don't like the English for some reason. Yeah. Because obviously
the ruling class. We'll refer to them as the ruling class.
Ancestors back in the day, obviously England as a country raped and pillaged most of the world at one point. So like there's always people that don't like it. But I'm like, hey, that was not me, it was my ancestors. Leave me alone. But hey ho.
Seery is fighting out of Rodney Collins boxing gym. Steve Collins, obviously his brother. Did you plan on keeping it on your feet this entire fight? Was that the game plan?
I never think about keeping any fight on my feet or keeping any fight on the floor. I just fight, So like for me, that's what made me a good fighter. I was a jack of all trades, but a master of none. I would fight you on the feet. I would fight you on the floor. I would wrestle you. I do everything. I do what I need to do to win a fight.
So McGregor was cage side at this, jumping up and down out of his seat, cheering for Seery.
Yeah.
Did you and McGregor have any words?
No.
It's just the Irish thing.
Okay. Yeah, obviously he's born an Irish guy. Like he if I was fighting a different guy, he would have cheered for me. But I was fighting a guy from his hometown, so he's cheering for Seery. He wants Seery to win. And do you know what? I don't care. I don't. Of course, if there was an English guy cheering for Seery, I'd be like, "Well, what are you doing?" I'll be like,
of course,
cheer for his country, man. So I don't think I don't think nothing like that sort of thing is personally,
So Seery in the third round was called for an eye poke that affected you. And in the replay, it looked like it was a clean punch.
Yeah, it was. It felt like he eye poked me. He punched me, but he's like the knuckle part of the thing went right in my eye, and I just went back like, oh my god, like that kind of thing. Like he blurred me right in my eyeball, and I just felt like that, and I went back, and then the ref stopped it and said like, I'm like, something's in my eye, and that's it. I can't. No, I wasn't faking it. I got hit in the eye.
No.
What it was, and I
for sure.
If the ref didn't stop it and he come throwing bombs at me, I would have took him down. 100%.
So Ian McCall, you guys fight July 19, 2014. Was there bad blood between you two? I knew there was.
No, I don't have bad blood between anyone. No.
Okay, there was a little bit of trash talk though.
Don't think so.
I think it was on McCall's side. Yeah, on McCall.
Ian McCall, 100%. Yeah. Oh, talking about Ian McCall. Okay, right. So Ian McCall, I thought you meant Seery, right? So when I was supposed to fight Ian McCall first, right? He was always been a bit of a mouthy guy. He was. I always very humble with myself, and I just keep myself to myself, right? Because me, I always say this: you can be as nice as you can to me. I'm going to go and try and knock your head off. You be really mean to me, I'm going to do the same thing. It doesn't change, right? So it doesn't matter. So if you want to be a dick, you can be a dick. He, leading up to that, my first fight, we've been a bit of a dick. I'm like, cool, whatever. I don't mind. I'm not fighting, whatever. Because you know what? I'm going to get to punch you in the face in the octagon. So, cool, go away. You do as much shit as you want. Doesn't matter. I'm going to get to punch you in the face. Then he pulled out of his fight, like, with 10 days before the fight, whatever it was. And then I'm like, knew it. Then I gave him a bit of shit for pulling out. I'm like, okay, cool. You took all your shit. Now you're pulling out the fight, you know? And I sent him a doctor's note, kind of like, my friend made it like a doctor's note saying, please wrap yourself in bubble wrap or whatever like that. Pulled out the fight because his bum went away, kind of thing like that. So it was a bit of like, then we had a bit of a back and forth. But yeah, again, you could talk as much as you want about me, but then you took the opportunity away from me punching you in the face. That annoyed me. So like, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's Chael Sonnen's thing. He's like, anytime I talk smack about somebody, I always showed up. And there's, you know, a bit of honor in that. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, if I was going to talk, I mean, Conor McGregor, he talks crap a lot, right? But he was sticking to his weight class. So it doesn't matter, because anyone he talks shit about is normally an opponent or future opponent, and then they get to fight each other, and there's always redemption there, either way, right? Someone like, who else talks a lot of crap? Kobe Covington. He just chats shit about everyone. You know, like,
he even goes out of his weight class. Yeah.
You're just being a dick for being a dick. You know what I mean? So like, for me, yeah. So like,
true.
Yeah. So he's gonna get himself like boomerangs thrown in by like what we call it. You're doing through boomerang him. Exactly. You deserve that. Stop being an idiot. Stop. Why are you insulting Vadim? You know, like
so.
During your time at Top Team, let me real fast. You mentioned Colby. During your time at Top Team, were you there with like the Masvidal, Colby?
Yeah.
So pick a favorite there. Like what? Who do you like? Who do you not like? What's your insight on that?
I'm really good friends with Masvidal, so I like Masvidal, of course. Masvidal, I know Masvidal for years, even before the old American Top Team, before Kobe even came in. Kobe, even in the gym, I got him in really well, fine, you know, but I can see he's a bit of a dick, you know, like I don't never judge someone how they treat me. I judge someone how they treat other people. Like if Dana White walked into the room now, everyone in my gym, everyone would be really nice to Dana White, correct? Because it's Dana White.
Yeah.
Happens, right? So like me as well, people treat me nice because I guess I'm Brad Pickett and they respect me for what, yeah, and that stuff.
For sure.
But if you go into a restaurant and there's a waitress there and she spills a drink or something and you give her so much shit for spilling the drink, whatever, I'm like, oh, you're just being a dick. You know, you're like, I gauge you how you treat other people. You know, like everyone's going to treat me nice. I'd see how you treat other people and how you act, like how you treat a fan, you know, a normal fan person. And that's why some fighters I respect really well. Sometimes like, oh, you're a bit of a dick because of how you speak to this fan who wants your picture or an autograph and you're talking to them like that. Then I might, you're a bit different. You know, I judge people not how they treat me, how they treat other people.
So with Ian McCall, do you think that the second low blow that you received was intentional so he could catch his breath?
Oh, mate, no, yeah, I didn't. What? I low blowed him. One of them, I hit him, man. I'm like, mate, no, I didn't touch you at all. But people just, whatever. I mean, I don't cry over spilled milk, you know. But yeah.
I think it was done. I think you were breaking him cardio wise, and he took it to catch his breath. Yeah,
remember, you know, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, are you?
Okay, that's fair enough. Chico Camus makes his 125 pound weight debut. And Ian McCall, you take an L. He goes on to fight for the title. Chico Camus is next. It's got to be a little frustrating for you right now.
I won that fight 100%. I mean, that's one of those split decisions where I won and I didn't get the win. He literally should have been sponsored by Nike running shoes because he ran the whole fight. And I do not know how he could win a fight by literally legging it. He ran the whole time. You know? So, yeah. He should have had some running shoe sponsors in that fight because he literally just legged it. He had more laps of that. He is like, in he must have done a marathon that day. He was running around that ring the whole time. And for me to win a fight like that, impossible. Like if I didn't go forward, there was no fight. Literally there was no fight. So I get people being on the back foot, but there's got to be something to it. Like you got to do something. Yeah, in my eyes, he didn't do anything. I do not know to this day how I lost that fight.
Yeah, it wasn't surprising when the UFC cut him either. I mean, he kind of fought that way as well. Very fast, but very, very defensive. Thomas Almeida, you take 8 months off. You return 135 pounds. Thomas Almeida is on a 19-fight win streak. That is your return to the 135-pound division. I don't think they're doing you any favors at this point.
No, there was. Because they offered me Bruce Leroy first.
Okay.
Right? And I went, no, I'm not fighting him. Because he's another guy who's gangly, runs around, does weird shit. Like I said, I've just been fighting these small guys, and like they just run around, don't fight at all. I want someone who's going to fight me, and we're going to have a fight. So I actually turned down Bruce Leroy because I'm like, nah, he just runs away, does weird stuff. Nah, don't want to fight him. So they offered me Thomas Almeida. I went, yep, 100%, take that fight.
A guy that's on a 19-fight win streak. Yeah.
But I nearly bingoed him in the first round. Like in my eyes, I beat this guy. Like I thought he's a good striker. Cool, let's go. And I also thought I could out wrestle him as well.
He must have saw something in the tapes because he hit you with a flying knee, the first one where you stood right up and you were fine. But I don't know.
I mean, what it was in that fight is like he was very, very, very clever fighter. He had loads of different array of strikes. Very shoot the box sort of style. Very dangerous with his striking. But with my slipping and rolling, I was hitting him with overhands, left hooks. I dropped him. When I dropped him as well, my instincts, I went for a takedown. And like I shouldn't have done. Maybe I should have tried to like just finish him on the floor, but I went. I should have carried on just trying to punch him. But and then it was in the second round. I remember me trying to throw a knee, and it was shit. And he was like, "Oh, I might throw a jumping knee," and he done it a lot better than me, and he landed it. But it's just one sort of Achilles heel to my sort of fighting style because I'm quite low based with my boxing wrestling sort of style. I was very susceptible to people throwing knees at the middle. You saw that against Renan Barao as well. It's dangerous, and I leave myself vulnerable in that aspect.
Yeah. So Almeida, I mean, where are you feeling? You got 3 losses in a row right now. Were you concerned about getting cut? Yeah, always. But then I'm like, you're fighting the best in the world, though. But then also it was a crazy good fight. Like Dana White called me up the next day and said, "Mate, that's an amazing fight." So, but I do understand. With this sport, it's 2 things: you need to win, but also you need to be exciting. You can't win every fight and be boring as hell like Ben Askren, because then you just lose a fight, you get cut. Or John Fitch was another one. He was very good but very boring with the way he fought. You just get cut when you lose, or you just be on undercards. Also, you can't be the most exciting fighter in the world and keep losing because it makes no sense. So you have to have that balance, So like Jeremy Stevens. In my eyes, it was like, yeah, dangerous, And then that's when, obviously, my next fight for me was a very important fight for me. Francisco Rivera is your next fight, February 27, 2016, on the Silva Bisping undercard. Yeah. You're a lot smaller than Rivera. I didn't put on, going back up to 135, I never bought when I go down to 125, I lost muscle. I never put muscle back on going back up to 135. Yeah, you were a lot smaller. They were saying you were having issues getting fights at 25. Was that the reason that you went up? No, I went back up to 125 from 125 because 135 is good. When I fought Chico Camus,
at 125 and I lost that decision. In my eyes, it shut that door for getting a title shot. So I'm like, what's the point of me killing myself going down to 125? I'll go back up to 135 and fight there, which that's what I did. You know?
Yeah, you had such a dominant third round after struggling with the first two.
Well, yeah, for me, yeah, again, it's one of those. I won a split decision.
Yeah, you won a split.
Yeah, for me, I could have lost that fight. You know, I lost the first round. Right, I've watched this fight a few times now. I lost the first round because I got dropped again. Right, the second round, even now, I'm like, I do not know who won that round. I have no clue. It was close. Third round, I won. So to me, it's how you scored that second round. It was such a close round. Even now, I cannot pick it. You know, I don't know who won that round. So, as we again, it was one of those split decisions. I could have arguably lost that fight. You know, so like, sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them. You know. No,
for sure. And you know, it's all up to the judges. Iuri Alcantara is your next bout, but then you roll into Urijah Faber, December 17, 2016. Urijah Faber is an absolute savage. And Brad, the last minute of the third round.
No, it's in like for me, go back one before that. I fought Iuri Alcantara, right? Okay. So I fought Iuri Alcantara. I had a really long training camp, stupidly long with that one. I was supposed to fight a guy called Henry Briones. He had now ended up pulling out on me 3 times in a row, right? Yeah, I was supposed to fight before Francisco Rivera. He pulled out. I fought Francisco Rivera. Then, okay, right. I scheduled to fight Henry Briones again. I was supposed to fight Henry Briones. He pulled out again. I fought Iuri Alcantara, right? So I took Iuri as a replacement. I was supposed to fight Henry Briones in
your last
Germany,
fight
in Germany, right? And then he got injured. They put my fight back to fight on the Manchester card. So I was in a really long, stupid training camp away from my family. I now just had a son called Buddy. He was born, and for me, it just sucked ass, right? And then I forgot morning England time because they had a fight in England, but they wanted it to be a pay-per-view card because it was Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I fought stupidly late at night. And then I took that. I had that fight. Didn't even get to throw a punch. Got winded straight away with a front kick. Then he threw a spinning back elbow, dropped me, and then me surviving all that. He didn't end up getting triangle choked. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with the sport. That's me done. Next time I fight will be in the because always come back to London in March. I said when I come back to London in March, I'm gonna have my last fight. I'm retiring. I'm done. I'm finished with the sport because it just sucked. In between that, I got a phone call from Shelby saying, "Hey, look, Brad, up to you. Do you want to fight Urijah Faber?" You know, he that was his retirement fight as well. He says he's having his retirement fight. Would you like to fight him? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'll fight Urijah Faber. It'd be an honor for me to fight someone like that. Yeah, of course. I love them. And like in my head, no matter what happens, I'm done anyway in March next year. So in between, I'll fight him. Cool. I'll have a fight. Cool. And that's it. For me, fighting Urijah Faber under different circumstances, I believe I could have beaten him.
A 5-round fight, you win that bout.
But for me, how it was, mindset going into the fight, because I just got beat by Iuri Alcantara so quick and like him, I went into that fight not to win. I thought went in there not to lose. So I was quite, it took me some time to grow into the fight, but I was very defensive. I didn't want to get, this, that. I was very defensive within the fight. I was defending all of the things he was doing. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I need to be a bit more offensive. And then I got back into the fight being a bit more offensive. But for me, it was my mindset. I felt like if I would have gone into that fight on a 2-fight winning streak or something like that, I would have beaten him because of confidence. So you have to understand fighting is very mental as well as physical. Yeah. You've got to have the right mindsets going into fights and timings Very important. I think the timing of that fight and me being in the mental state I was played against me. I lost that decision.
You know, to even be asked to have Urijah, like for Urijah Faber's retirement fight as yourself, that is absolutely quite an honor as well.
Yeah.
I think if it's a 5-round fight, in the last minute you had him in trouble. Obviously the calf kicks, you were struggling a little bit with those. But at the end of the day, your retirement bout is in March. Henry Briones once again pulls out. Has he ever reached out to you in regards to this?
I don't know. He's pulled out me 3 times. Fucking 3 times.
So they bring in Marlon Vera, who's obviously, a top contender today. And they have to make the fight at 140 because it's so last minute.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, I'm just happy I got a fight, But Marlon Vera is a good fight as well. In my eyes, I was beaten in the whole fight, right? In the 3rd round, I got caught with that head kick. He dropped me. And even to this day, I'm like, I got stopped too early. I was fine. I was rocked, but in my eyes, like, I dropped hard. But if you look at, those sort of things, I would pretty good at recovering from. And like I know you shouldn't take this into account, but maybe my last fight, me winning the whole fight, winning 2.5 rounds of the fight, to get dropped, flash knocked down, to not let me try and fight out of it was a bit criminal, I thought, But yeah, again, it also solidified my reasons for retiring, because I got dropped by a head kick. Well, back in the day, old me would have ended like a biscuit.
You'd ate it.
Like a biscuit. It would have been like nice, cool, give me some more of that. But then, but towards the end of my career, I was getting dropped by everyone. Like everyone with Thomas Almeida, Francisco Rivera, Eddie Wineland, I think even Urijah Faber stubbed me. Everyone was, so I'm like, there's something going wrong here. My armor is not there anymore, what I used to rely on. This is definitely time for me to leave the sport.
Did you think of that at night? Would that, like you getting dropped, would that replay in your head when you were alone?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm like, of course, I think before, like I say, that my granite chin was a massive, valuable string to my bow. Now that's kind of gone. I'm like, oh shit, I'm a bit vulnerable. Now I need to be careful of the getting hit. And it just took away my fighting style. My fighting style wasn't about being cautious. It's about going forward and throwing bombs. When I had to be cautious, I never fought I didn't fight how I wanted to fight.
Wow. Referee Brett Waterman was your first and last referee. Was that your request?
No, that was just by chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets?
No. For me, again, being cliche, I don't have any regrets, because whatever's happened within my life has made me who I am today, and I'm very happy of my version of myself. So I'm very content. I say, going back, I tried everything I can to be number 1 in the world. I have no regrets. Like I say, everything has made me who I am today. So I'm happy. When I look in the mirror in the morning, I see this beautiful face, and I'm like, I'm happy with who I am. So I have no regrets.
Brett, I have to say, like, you're one of the few people that can sit in front of us and say, no, I absolutely did everything I could, as you had explained earlier, in order to connect the dots to win a world title. It just didn't come your way. But there's so many people that can just say, well, if this would have happened or that would have happened.
I didn't want to be that guy, You see in the pubs and that. When I was younger, I was this, I was that, but then I got into drugs and women, and then if I didn't do that, I didn't want to be that guy, telling everyone's met that guy, right? Everyone has met that guy, I would have, should have, could have, if I could have done this, if I did that. Mate, I look at those guys and I'm like, shut up. And I didn't want to be that guy myself.
I respect the hell out of that, man. Yeah. So, Brad, here, top 3 people that hit you the hardest.
Mike Brown, John Lineker. That's it.
Who would you say your hardest opponent was?
No, I mean, I don't have a high. Okay, hardest kind of fights where it was a bit of back and forth. Scott Jorgensen and Ivan Menjivar were 2. Scott Jorgensen, Ivan Menjivar, and Mike Easton were battles where I'm like, oh my god, these are like grueling fights. You know, they're the 3 ones.
Miguel.
Thank you very much, Brad. That's awesome, man.
No worries, my guys. Thanks for having me on again.
We've been trying to track you down for a minute. We're glad you came through, Brad. You're an absolute gentleman, man. Absolute gentleman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friends.
And you may not have gotten to that world title, that #1 spot, but I think you could firmly say in your heyday you were a top 5 dude. And
top 3.
Special in and of itself. I know you realize that too, and you're grateful. So that's what makes it nice. Just a charming interview, man. Thank you.
But Brad, have you ever thought I know there's a fight pass with Cage Warriors. I don't think your country proper has a fight pass deal. Have you thought about doing your own promotion for them?
I did. I did have my own promotion called Rise of Champions, right? It was a very good show. But then it was I put my show on hold until I got my gym up and running. So if you want, I can give you a little tour of my gym for 2 seconds.
Yeah, let's see it, dude. Yeah, for sure.
So let me try.
Because I know Cage Warriors comes to your country as well, but they're an Irish-based promotion.
No, Cage Warriors is an English company. So I'll give you a tour. So if I got my cam stop video, can I reverse it? There. So we'll come up the stairs. Here's reception. Hello.
Okay.
This is Olga.
Oh, you even have somebody there. That's very
She's
good.
She's a buyer, yeah. This
very good.
Like a little shop. You have all the merchandise in. We walk through here. This is like locker rooms here, cleaning room there. We have a look. Well-being suite here, which is like treatment rooms here. We have a physio is in here. Right, then this is mat #1 here. Got my sign on the window there. If I go here as well, it says that every show that I fought on is the poster. That's my UFC debut. That's my I fought Conor McGregor's card against Thomas Almeida. Down, I think it was against Mike Easton. So yeah, there's all my posters. Here's the physio guy. There's my logo there. Then we go up here. This is still not finished. Huge. I'm gonna have a proper bag area here. Got a couple of things here at the moment, but not this. This is gonna be like a proper bag area. This is a 25-foot cage here. Another little big bag here. We have a boxing ring here.
This is like a little mini American Top Team.
And then you go around here. This is mat space #2.
Oh my God.
This is caged in. It's like a caged in mat space. Like that. See, it's all caged in. It's here. So if I go in there. So cage match space here. Down here. Got some memorabilia on the wall here from some of my Cage Warriors fire champions, world champions I have. I've got 3 there.
This is gorgeous.
Here. Then we walk here, and now we're in the gymnasium.
Oh my God.
This is a strength and conditioning coach, Liam. Hello. One of his fighters. Walk back here, so it's like. We also have our own punch machine. Give it a go. Punch machine here, and then you walk back around here, and then it's back to the beginning. So it's like,
back to the beginning.
Big O donut shop. Here's some memorabilia. Here's every show I fought on's gloves. So I have AFC, Bodog, Cage Rage, WC, and UFC. We've got some belts from Cage Warriors champion guys. This is my show. This is one of our guys' champions. My bare knuckle boxing match belt here. My Cage Rage belt. Cage Warriors belt here, and this is Masvidal's BMF belt. A replica, obviously, but from him. Some more memorabilia. As I said, I didn't show you this part here, actually. So here's my fight shorts and stuff from Kyle Dietz, my WC debut. This is Mike Brown shorts when he knocked out Urijah Faber to win the WC belt.
That's awesome.
This is my shorts in against Francisco Rivera. This is the boxing coach. He's fast asleep on the couch, waving. Yeah. Yeah. And there's Chanel, another young fighter over there. She's waving as well. But yeah, and this is it. And I go back. This go back to my office where we were in. This is my office.
How many members do you have?
Fighters. We have a lot of fighters, but members. I think we've only been open. Let me turn this back around. Oh, he's my vicious guard dog, Bonnie.
Oh, look at
Bonnie. We've only been open since like February this year. So I think we've got like 180 members, normal members or something.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Now that's a state-of-the-art facility. Man, are you paying rent in London, man? That's kind of run you like 20,000. You know?
Yeah. Don't talk to me about the numbers. Not yet.
Yeah, man. So,
but it's the thing. I've been in the game for such a long time, right? So I kind of know what you need as a fighter to try and succeed. And I got it here. I have world-class facilities, as you can see. I have world-class coaching, me and my other coaches. And we also have world-class athletes that already train here. This is the ingredients you need. But I say to everyone who comes here, that doesn't make you a world-class fighter. You still need to have that get up and go and the right sort of mindset, the grind, and the hustle to make it within the sport. We have everything that can help you, but yeah, in the day, you need. I can't make you get out of bed and get yourself into the gym on a daily basis. That's on you and stuff like that, you know.
So you're really making a name for yourself. You're all in. Well, you trained at American Top Team, one of the greatest gyms in the entire world.
Yeah.
Obviously, are you an ATT affiliate?
Yeah. I tell you, like the logo is we're actually called. I think it did come with anything to show you. Right. So we're actually Great Britain.
Fantastic.
You see the logo, it's actually a silhouette of me wearing my hat.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Excellent. Brad, thank you so much, man. We appreciate appreciate your time, man. Take care, buddy. Your day. You too. Be good.
Well, Lights Out Podcast, another deep dive into books. Always good to talk to Brad Pickett over in London, obviously. We've done a deep dive with him about the early part of his career already. You should check out the archives, hit like, subscribe, do all that stuff, especially if you didn't catch the first Brad Pickett one. Great stories, great, just a good guy too. And pioneer at his weight class, especially in Europe and things. And good to see here at the end, man. That walk through his gym was something special. He's got an amazing gym. London, like I said, not cheap. He danced around that. We don't need to get into exact figures and stuff, but he's putting a lot into that gym. There's a lot going in there. Hopefully fighters go in there and get a lot out of it. I do believe, like he said, for MMA, you're going to be dealing with some world-class instruction there. So very glad to catch up with Brad Pickett. Got another British guy in the books. Still working on, future interviews list. Keep us in the comments. Keep giving us suggestions and stuff. We like to go old school and, Pickett, a little taste of the modern too. Not, an old school guy, but he kept his career going long enough. And, we'll see what we do for an encore. Thanks to everybody. Like, share, subscribe. Chris Lytle says hi. He'll be back out here with us after a while. And Mike's on the road this week too, so they made me do this. Hey, I don't even like doing it. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.